Hey, Acceleration Nation, how are you? I'm coming to you today with a real diagnosis of a Google offer letter. So, a client of mine brought this to me, and we're in the process of helping her negotiate her offer. So, first off, a couple of things to point out here. It is 20 pages long. So she went through lots of loops and lots of hoops and hurdles to get the Google offer. And then she gets that. She gets a lovely signature from Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. And it is a 20-page letter. So let's break this down for you. There's not a lot actually that's that important. So, first off, this is her title. So she got a good title. This was the office where she was supposed to be located. And I say supposed to because this person actually turned this down because she was getting paid more at Amazon. So this person got an offer $195,000. That's your base salary. That is a lot of money. That is great. Oh, actually, let's talk about the role first. So it's a technical program manager. Google calls those TPMs. It doesn't say the level here. I happen to know because I've spoken to her, and I know the level of the role. It's a level 6 at Google. I won't go into the levels here, but it doesn't lay that out in the contract here. Um, Annual salary 195. That's great. Then the bonus target. Bonus target is 20%. So if this woman performs as expected, she will get 20% of 195, which is, what is that, $39,000 at the end of the year, annually. But if she starts halfway through the year, it will be prorated. So, but that's on an annualized basis, and it can go up or down. It goes into that a little bit here based on your performance. Then there's a sign-on bonus, and this is a $50,000. You get that right away. Welcome to Google. You do need to return it if you leave Google before 12 months. But I, first off, you're probably not going to leave Google within 12 months. But if you do, you can use that. That is sometimes people refer to that as golden handcuffs that are keeping you in there, but you can melt those down and use that as a gold bar to leverage and negotiate for your next offer at Stripe or Microsoft or wherever you go after that. Equity compensation. Equity is another word for stock. This woman will get GSUs. GSUs stand for Google Share Units. It is the same thing as restricted stock units, RSUs. And what RSUs are is these $585,000 of shares will get divided by Google's stock price. You look at stock, Google, 23 $2,370. And then you do calculator here of 585,000 divided by those share prices, that share price, and she will get about 246 shares. They will actually give her 246.75 shares, but they will price it at the time of her, whenever the stock is issued to her. But don't worry about that. But essentially, what you need to know from your money perspective, you're getting $585,000. That does not all come at once. And we'll talk a little bit about how those vest. So you're given those, but it's kind of put in escrow, and you only get that after a certain period of time, assuming that you're in good standings. Then the benefits, Google benefits are fantastic. They don't go through it here. Some companies share the benefits. Benefits are amazing at Google. You could probably get that, but it's not in here. So there's a lot more information here. So export control, this stuff is just legalese covering Google's ass, and every company does this. At will employment. This is something that almost every contract has, almost every contract in the US has. And what this means is you are employed at will. And what I highlighted here is your employment relationship may be terminated with or without cause, with or without notice at any time by you. You can decide to leave at your will or Google's will. For whatever reason, they can get rid of you. So just know that at almost every company you join. They do not put this red circle around here. I put that in here. Next steps for this woman, this offer will remain open for 5 days. So after she received this offer, she actually reached out to me. We talked, developed a strategy of how to go up for negotiation for this. Again, she wound up not taking the offer, but we had 5 business days to work on this. And on that note, if you ever have an offer and you're ever looking for help, just send a note to getmore@kademacareers.com and we will help you get more money. Um, and then you got Sundar's signature there. So that's lovely. You got to sign this and return it. Other things in here. So again, they now there's more legalese and they are saying it really boldly here. At will employment in all caps. So they are really making this quite aware that they can get rid of you for any time. But this also means that you can leave at any moment. So again, they did not put the red circle around there, but they did put all caps. They put it in there for a second time. So that stuff's real at every company. There's a lot of stuff about inventions here. Doesn't apply to 99% of people, but a lot of people on engineering or maybe have patents, things like that. That applies to some people. Google's basically covering their butts here to make sure if you come in with any proprietary technology that or anything that is invented once you join Google is their property essentially. So you better declare stuff that's yours ahead of time. Prior inventions, this stuff doesn't apply to most people, but there's a lot of information in here. Conflicting employment doesn't apply to most people. Return a Google property. You basically want to, if when you leave, you got to give Google their stuff back. Notification about my obligations, non-solicitation of employees. That's something we can get into that another stage, but export statement of assurance, employee handbook, you got to follow their rules. A lot of this stuff you can just glance through. Severability, successors, so waivers. Some people sometimes try to negotiate this stuff, and good luck. Unless you are a very senior level person, these are just boilerplate, and you just sign this, and it's a fair agreement. Then there's more stuff here about inventions, authorship, just making sure that anything that you owned before Google's time, you are declaring here. Again, doesn't apply to most people. Um, B, here's Google's labor stuff. Since they operate in different states, they have to put legal clause for California, for Illinois, for Minnesota. Which other states they have? Washington State. This is again This is a U.S. contract. There will be different ones for different countries. And let's see what else they say here. Non-competition. This is just conflict of interest. You can read through this, but essentially, if you want to work at Google, you have to adhere to these things. They're fair. It's fine. And then welcome to Google. Then, for some inexplicable reason, Google is giving you all this paperwork to fill out now. I guess they may look at this because for visa purposes. I'm not sure, but most companies actually have you do this after you sign the agreement, but they're having you fill this out now. And this is just a sample, so I don't even know what you're supposed to do with this, but every US based company has you fill that out. I don't know why Google's putting it in this 20-page doc. A lot of companies do not do that there. So here's all the documents that you need to do. Usually you do this when you join the company. So now we are on page 14 of this 20-page doc. Now they're talking about understanding total comp. So how many pages do they have of that? They have 1 page here. They have 2 pages here. They have 3 pages here. They have 4 pages here. They have 5 pages here. And I'll go over this in a second. They have 5 pages out of the 20 pages of understanding their compensation. So first off, if you work at Google, you're going to get compensated well. So you don't need to sweat this, but you should also understand how valuable a job at Google is. So understanding total comp, you get salary. In this woman's case, her salary is $195. The bonus, it depends on your level. You could get bonus rates as low as 10%, I think as high as 50%. And there's a multiplier that you can apply to that too. It could be up to 2 times as much or as little as 0 times as much. So bonus, though, is based on your level. So I think this woman was a level 6, so she's getting a 20% baseline bonus. And then equity, we'll talk a little bit about that, but she's getting a sign-on equity award of $585, and we'll talk about the vesting cycle of that. So Now Google is trying to be transparent here of understanding salary, and this stuff actually makes sense. Compensation is based on external market. Google focuses on looking at their competitive set, and they earmark their compensation at the 90th percentile. So to give you some reference points, and Google's comparative set is probably Facebook and Twitter and Salesforce and Microsoft and Netflix and companies like that. So they look at those companies, they look at similar roles, they look at the percentile, and they aim for the 90th percentile. At American Express, for instance, when I was there, where employees complained all the time about compensation year after year, and the company did nothing about it, they would look at a different competitive set of Citibank, of Citicard, of Chase Card Unit, of Target, of Procter and Gamble, like marketing organizations, and they would look at those peers and they would set the baseline at the 50th percentile. So your comp is going to be significantly lower at American Express. Facebook, for instance, was aiming for, Facebook actually did not say what percentile they were aiming for, but it was higher than Google. When I was at Salesforce, they were aiming for the 75th percentile. And yeah, comp is not as good at Salesforce. It's still quite good. Um, Pay targets. Pay target. So there's a target based on your level and based on the role. So this woman is a level 6. I think it was a program manager role or a TPM, a technical program manager. So they look at that, and this role is in an Eastern Seaboard market, and they look at that market and they set that pay target based on that. Your compensation plan. There are a couple of different compensation plans. I'm not going to go into the sales plan. Sales plan, if you are in a sales quota, you get paid quarterly, and you get paid based on your commissions, based on what quota, what sort of sales you are supposed to drive. And if you're hitting those targets, most people that I work with are on the company plan, which is similar to what this is. The company plan is usually salary, bonus, equity. Not every company has bonus, not every company has equity. Google has all three. Amazon, for instance, does not have bonus, but they're pretty rich in equity. So now they talk about what can change over time. So there's a couple of ways. So this woman's going to come in with $195,000. She is going to have her 20% bonus. And then each year, she is going to get evaluated, and she will have opportunities to have an increase on that 195. So some of that 195 can go up based on promotion. So if she goes from a level 6 to a level 7, there will be a significant step up in comp, usually 10 to 20% increase in total comp. And it will also increase her bonus level from 20% to 25%. And then and people get promoted maybe every 2 years, every 3 years. You could get promoted as quickly as 18 months, but that's a general guideline. And not everyone gets promoted. It's not a God-given right to get promoted. Google promotes about 10% of people per cycle, about 20% per year, or at least that was as in 2016. Merit salary increase. So each year, whether you get promoted or not, Google says, okay, good job. Based on your rating, we are going to give you a 4% raise, a 6% raise, a 8% raise, 7% raise, whatever the number is. And that is based on manager ratings and calibration of you, which I will talk about on another video. So understanding bonus. So the bonus, they talk about the company bonus plan and the sales bonus plan. Again, I'm not going to talk about the sales bonus plan. That is based on sales of, if you're selling GCP, Google Cloud Platform, ads, whatever you're selling. But this woman is on a company bonus plan, and it's paid annually. I believe Google pays it in January. Some companies pay it in February, March, whatever. I think Microsoft pays it in the summer. Company bonus. So this is another key aspect. To receive your bonus, you need to be there employed by Google on December 31st. So I believe if you leave Google on January 1st, you will still be eligible for that bonus for the previous year, even though you've left there. Although I kind of generally advise people to stay through there when they get the bonus check, even though here it says you just have to be employed there. So that's interesting. The sales bonus, there's other rules for the sales bonus plan. Understanding, so that's a bonus. It's in this woman's case, it's 20% of $195,000, and it could go up to 40%. It could go as low as 0%. but generally it'll fall close to 20% in most cases. Understanding equity. And some companies do bonus multipliers based on the company results. While I was at Google, it was just based on your own individual performance, but Facebook does company performance as well. Um, Salesforce does, but anyway, you should 20% a good rule of thumb if that's what they're saying here. Understanding equity, the Noogler Equity Award. Noogler is what Google calls their new Googlers, so Nooglers. The GSUs are the same as RSUs, restricted stock units. Google just calls them Google stock units. So this woman here was going to get 246 shares. So let's just make it 240 for easy math for me. So let's just pretend it's 240 shares. So 33% will vest over the first year. So 1/3 of 240, 80 shares will vest in her first year. Another 80 shares will vest in the second year. 22%, I'm not going to do that math now. Was that 48 or so? Something like that, 48, a little like 50 shares or so will vest the next year, and the remainder will vest in the fourth year. So 33 plus 33 plus 22 plus 12 equals 100%. They used to do it simpler when I was there. Now they front load it. So in your first years, you get actually more of a payout. I won't talk about the philosophy behind that, but it's a competitive market. That's why they front loaded them. Then your equity vests over that period of time. So you get 33% of your award in the first year, but then based on the number of GSUs awarded, and again, in this woman's case, she's awarded about 246. So she, because of the number of GSUs vested, she is going to get those vesting quarterly. Monthly. So people that get a low number of GSUs vest 25% per year. Actually, I think this actually might be wrong, but if we were to follow this, and I should ask somebody here, and I know this is on the refreshes. Refreshes work like this, but they're saying this is for new hire investing, so they might have changed this. So this woman had over 100 shares. So nuclear awards may vest monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or annually. The number of vest dates per year is determined by the size of the award. So this award was 240 shares over 100, so she gets a monthly. So 33% of those shares, 80 shares, will be vesting each over a 12 periods of time. So 80 divided by 12 months is, what is that, like 7, like 6.5 shares will vest each month for her. So 6.5 shares times 2370 is 6.5 times 2370. She is going to get $15,405 each month that vest because of all those shares. So that's real money. So her salary alone was 195,000 divided by 12. 16,000. So she's essentially getting double her money. She's getting 16,000 in salary and 15,000 in RSUs. So people that do not understand RSUs, you should understand them, and you should understand how some of the top companies really pay out for that. So that's what you got there on the RSUs. Then equity refresh, and I put a big star here. This is where you make your money. Each year, if you are performing well, you get additional equity. So she started with 250 shares, $585,000 of shares. After her first year, and sometimes you're not eligible after your first year, it depends when you start, but just assume after your first year, you might get another $200,000 of equity, maybe 300, maybe 400. It really depends on your performance. And some of that, they tell you how they determine it, but it's very vague actually. So in the highlight here, you are determined by an algorithm that takes into account things like performance, role, and level. In limited and specific circumstances, managers who plan equity may apply planner discretion to adjust the modeled amount. I can tell you in my time at Google, I use lots of discretion on this. So I would actually reduce equity of my lower performers and reinvest that in my higher performers. there was a cap and a floor of what I could do, but that gave me a lot of leverage as a manager to allocate equity based on the employees that I really wanted to keep long term and reward. So I wouldn't sweat that too much, except the key thing to understand, you will get lots of money at Google. They are quite generous with this. Um, it depends on the economics of the environment and how the company is doing. But the fact that most employees get this on an annual basis really adds up over the course of time. And those equity refresh awards, they vest, I don't know what their vesting cycle is, but in terms of employees who work, so a lot of people, it says Nooglers typically don't receive equity grant at the end of the first year since they're still whatever. They just don't need to give you money because you have a lot of money coming to you. The GSUs will be granted in January. They'll be in your brokerage account. So anyway, you don't need to understand the in depth about the equity refresh awards, except understand that a lot of companies do offer these. They are quite generous. And when I say a lot of companies, a lot of the top tier tech companies offer this, and some of them offer it to almost all employees. Some are more finicky about who they give it to, like Salesforce. At my level at Salesforce, only 50% of directors received equity. One year I got it, one year I didn't. And at Google, almost everybody gets it. At Facebook, almost everybody gets it, unless you're a really poor performer. So, anyway, this stuff adds up. So much so that by the time when I was leaving Google, I was vesting $25,000 a month, and that was growing each month as well. So, it, yeah, it was a lot of money. They talk about the RSUs, net equity awards. I won't go into the details here. They are going through some math here of this. They are explaining essentially what I told you here. Tax implications. Essentially, what happens is if you get 100 shares times 23, let's just say 100 shares times $2,000, so $20,000. The government in most high tax states will take out 40%. So instead of getting those 100 shares, you really only get 60 shares, and the 40 shares go to the government. So you get 60 times a $2,000, so it becomes $12,000, $120,000. Sorry. Well, whatever. Sorry, I'm just a brain fart here. But 60 times 2,000 is $120,000. So the government gets 40 times 2,000, which is $80,000. So anyway, you don't even see the 40 shares, you just get the 80 shares. Don't worry about it so much. It happens automatically. Just realize that you're taxed on that just like you are taxed on your salary, the same rate, not any higher, not any lower. Then Exhibit A, what do I have here? I don't know what this is. What is I I don't know. This is nothing important. I need to attach more page. This is, I guess, if you have those patents and things like that, conflict of interest, you don't need to worry about that too much. So that is essentially understanding a Google offer letter. And um, if you can't understand the 20 pages, you can just always reach out to me and I can decipher this for you. But in general, should aim to get offers at Google, at Facebook, at Salesforce, at Amazon, at Microsoft, at a lot of these top tech, even some of the smaller tech companies. Adobe offers lots of shares, Stripe offers lots of shares. Lots of these companies offer lots of shares, and Stripe's different because they're private, but we can talk about that at a different time. But hope you learned a little bit about offer letters, understanding compensation. And the other thing that I worked with this woman on, well, not even going to go there now. We'll talk about that at some other point. But this is how you understand a Google offer letter. Hope that was insightful. If you have questions or comments, leave them below. I will answer them. And thanks a lot. Catch you later. Bye bye.